impromptu stuff, some R&B, a little bit of a hip-hop mix in there just to get things going. So we're going to get him queued up. We're going to play a song from his Studio B while we get him on the line and get him all set up. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, DJ at WMNF.org. This is Daddy B. Studio B by Daddy B. You hearing me okay, buddy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
I'm clear.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so we have Daddy B on the line, and where are you coming to us from right now? Are you in New Orleans?
Actually, I'm not in New Orleans. I'm flying back to New Orleans tomorrow. Right now, I am in the Midwest. I am in Wisconsin, which is actually where I'm from.
Oh, wow. Are you out there for some shows?
No, I came out here actually to come out here for business and visit some family.
Gotcha. All the important stuff, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, all right, let's get into. He's coming to us from the Midwest right now, and what we're doing, we're just talking about his music. He got a little bit of a smooth, rhythmic, impromptu jazz type of a thing going on here. We're going to jump into another one here. It's going to be name and title of this track is going to be NOLA. And he emailed it to me, kind of explaining it, and we're going to talk about it again, too, later on, if we can get him on. But a little bit of an homage to the New Orleans hurricane tragedy. Let me give him just a few moments here, see if we can get him on here. And so we're going to play that and then get him back on the line. 2399. This is NOLA from Daddy B. That's daddyb.com. So, all right. So, were you born and raised in the Midwest, or were you raised down south?
Actually, born and raised in the Midwest.
Okay. Why New Orleans then, man? What brought you to that town?
Actually, had to do with the Hurricane Katrina, actually, and we ended up moving. My family and I ended up moving down that way after a while, and helping people rebuild the community. And actually, the song that you just played, NOLA, was after the first year that we've gone down there in 2006 after the storm. That was the song that was laid upon my heart after seeing the area and talking to the people of the community. So I pretty much wrote that song for the folks of New Orleans, Louisiana, which is why it's called NOLA, N-O-L-A, for New Orleans, Louisiana.
So when something like that happens, then, because with the music that we've heard, it's mainly instrumental, though, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and then it's you on the sax, and then who's all the backup folks?
Actually, on that song right there, I'm actually doing all the instruments on that song.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of like in the studio thing, playing over yourself. So you're doing all that. So when you play live, then who's usually playing with you?
Well, I have guys in the band. They're the true talent behind Daddy B. My core team, and then there's always a group of musicians that join. Norm and Lucas and Rob and Pops and the guys that play with us regularly. They're the core team. But then we always have field of guest artists that show up and do things from time to time as well.
So you got kind of mix it up there, and then obviously you can kind of mix it up yourself and jump in behind different instruments and whatnot.
At times I do. Sometimes I never know what I'm going to do at a show. I may, I was sax and percussion are my two major instruments. But I do all my writing on the piano, and and I can pick up a few of the instruments and plunk around and make some things happen.
What the first instrument you picked up then, since you're kind of a jack of all trades here, what was it? The sax that you first started on, or was it piano?
Actually, the very first instrument that I ever played was, I think, when I was 6 years old, and that was a harmonica, actually. And it was a toy harmonica at that. So the first real instrument that was purchased for me that I played was probably when I was 10 years old, and that was a guitar. And shortly after that, around age 11 or 12, I transitioned to sax.
To sax, and then you never looked back from there?
Correct. That was once I was hit the sax, I was hooked, and I was in love with that instrument.
Okay, so moving from those different, like a string style, and then you mentioned percussion. Why the sax? I mean, what's that give you that the other ones don't?
Because the sax can give you a variety of emotions. I mean, it's smooth, it's sexy, it's cool, it's funky, it's so you can it talks and sings to people, and there's an emotion behind an instrument that's just, to me, it just spoke to me, and I think it speaks to many people. A lot of people love the sax.
Yeah, well, I find that too, because I've had a lot of horn players on my show, maybe members of another band, or they may be doing something on their own, and they all kind of say the similar stuff, even some trumpet folks on here, and then some sax folks, and they're all like, yeah, you can just say so much more with this style of instrument than you can with like a guitar, without some vocals on there. And so that's interesting that you're bringing that up. So with any type of formal training there, or is it all just kind of like listening by ear and playing with some other guys?
No, I went to school, and trained. I thought when I was going to graduate high school, I did audition for Juilliard. However, I did not make it into that school. They stopped screening after the top 1%, and I think I made it the top 3%, so I never made it into that school. But I did train, and then I ended up pursuing and doing a lot of building and developing on my own. So, and that's kind of where we are today. I just kept with it, and it kind of started off as just being for fun.
Gotcha. I want to ask you a little bit about the style. When I was trying to read up on some music and some songs that you had sent me, a lot of the styles you write in there are a big mix. You got like a smooth jazz, rhythmic, impromptu, R&B, hip hop. So we're kind of spanning the genre here. When you write then, like when we heard, Studio B, and we'll talk about that for a second, and then also NOLA, when you write those songs, what kind of inspirations are you drawing off of to do that? Is it all those styles entering your head at once, or different times based on the mood that you're in?
Yeah, a lot of times it's based on the mood that I'm in, or a feeling or an emotion that is being sparked at that moment, or it's something that I'm participating in or been involved in that creates the style of the song for that moment. It's usually, and I'm kind of the guy that, as an artist, I don't like to be stuck in one type of format. I kind of really like to keep things moving it around because I like to have something that everybody, can enjoy. And if you're old or young, I like to do the fast and funky, and I like to do the slow and sexy. I like to do the pretty and sultry. So it's like whatever anybody likes, I like to do something that can appeal to anyone's style and all ages.
When you record then, and as far as for Studio B and NOLA, is that something you're doing like in house? Is that something you're doing like in a self-built recording studio?
Well, my very first project that I did, the You Should Have Known CD, that actually was done in a recording studio. That was done in a pro studio. The second project, and I didn't have a whole lot of control over that project. It was kind of like at the engineers, they controlled and did everything, and I had very little input. The second project, it was a half studio, half home studio project, which I was very involved in the engineering process and what was taking place. And then the project that's taking place, that's up and coming right now, is all being done and engineered and mastered in my home studio.
So you're doing all the production on that as well, on the up and coming one?
Correct.
How was that, turning over the reins to someone else, like on your first one there, and seeing your vision kind of change a little bit based on someone else's ideas?
It's difficult at times when you have to release that to someone else, but you get over it. You just deal with it. And I yield to the experts on what they do, and they did a great job in what they did. And we went to Sleepless Night Studios, and they did a good job in what they did. So I don't take anything from them. I just learned through that process that I knew that I had the ability to do some of the things that were being done, and I knew exactly how I wanted it, so it made sense just for me to learn how to do the production part of it.
I'd like to, if we could jump into another one, if that's cool. I got the after set queued up.
Sure.
To go into here. Is there anything you want to say about the song before we jump into it?
This song, the after set, is actually I always thought that after you get done with the show, everybody's looking for where do you go to continue the fun of the groove of the music. And a lot of times with jazz shows, there's always a good after set where the instrumentalists get together and do an open jam, and that's kind of where this came from, is like the feeling of what you do after the show and go and do the open jam.
All right, so let's jump into that. This is the After Set by Daddy B. If you're just now tuning in, center stage of the show, I'm your host, RJ. Tonight, we have Daddy B on with us. DaddyB.com is the website, and we're going to be sitting with him for the rest of the hour, playing some songs off of some various albums from his, and just kind of talking with him about music and that passion. So stay tuned. This is the After Set by Daddy B.